Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Inside Guns with your host, me, the Yankee Marshal. Today, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I'm only going to really do one topic here because I don't want to muddle the message on this. I don't want to do something cutesy and silly afterwards or anything like that that makes anyone think I might not be serious about this, because I am very serious about this. And I want that to convey through. Playtime is not right now. I want to talk about the fact that this Saturday is the 20th anniversary of 9/11, the attacks. If you don't know what that is, I'm surprised. I think everyone here is aware. That is basically when we were attacked by a bunch of Saudis that were funded mostly with Saudi money, and then we helped the Saudi royal family escape judgment and went to war with Iraq and Afghanistan for some reason. After we lost a lot of life in multiple attacks on the Twin Towers, the Pentagon, etc. So I want to talk about that. Now, I know tomorrow a lot of people are going to be bowing their heads in moments of silence and mourning and being, respectful to people who sacrificed. Well, I also want to add a little something here about that. Remember, sacrifice requires your knowledge to know you're putting yourself at risk. People that rushed in after the attacks, the first responders, firemen, volunteers, medical people, everyone that ran into those buildings before they fell and ran into the rubble after they fell, knowing that there might be contaminants dangerous to them, people who lost their lives or their health, those people sacrificed. The people that were killed in the initial attacks, that's not really a sacrifice. They're victims. So remember the victims. But when you're talking about sacrifice and honoring sacrifice, remember to honor the right people. The first responders, police, fire, volunteers, etc. that actually did risk something knowingly. Not the people that just were unlucky enough to be the victims of a crime that they never saw coming. So that's something that is very unpopular, I'm going to say right now, because I know that's going to piss some people off. But I want to move on to an even more unpopular subject here. Because like I said, I don't think it's a time to do let's honor them and let's be solemn and blah, blah, blah. Because I think that that's not really honoring anybody. I think that that is more giving the people who did what they did what they want. They want to see us injured. They want to see us hurt. They want us to see us hurt every time we remember it. And I think we've been giving them too much of that. It's been 20 years, for God's sakes. I'm glad to see that the wars that started from it are finally maybe coming to an end. And whether you like how they ended or not, I think most people will be glad that our soldiers aren't over-risking their lives for something like this now. Something that no longer mattered, that had become a moot point, that no one even remembered what we were trying to do anymore. But that's a different topic. I just think that this weekend people need to open their eyes a little bit. And like I said, instead of posting sappy memes and blah, 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 and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with people who do that. I've done it. I posted memes on the anniversary, said things like, oh, don't forget what they died for and, the freedoms we have and blah, blah, blah. So I'm not like throwing stones at people here. What I'm just saying is we need to go in a different direction. The way we need to honor the sacrifice of the people who actually made sacrifices, and the way we need to honor the lives of the people who were victims and lost their lives, is remember that we're Americans. And one of the things that makes us American, and one of the things that a lot of other countries don't like us for, is because we have the freedom to think what we want, say what we want, do what we want. But right after 9/11, we surrendered a lot of those rights. We allowed the Patriot Act to be passed. We allowed Homeland Security to be created, another private standing army on our soil that was formed under dubious circumstances with really vague guidelines of what they're supposed to do. And what they've done usually is bring the force of their arms down upon American citizens more than anything else. Often citizens who don't deserve it. citizens who get their homes raided when they didn't do anything wrong, citizens who get barred from flying just because they have a common name. We surrendered a lot of our freedoms after that. And the best way, I think, to celebrate this anniversary of 9/11, this 20-year anniversary, is to say enough is enough. We need to start saying we want to take back the things we surrendered after 9/11 because it's time. We should have never given them away. It made us less as a country. It made us less as a people to surrender these rights to the powers that be. And we need them back. We don't need an American Gestapo. We don't need Homeland Security. We've got enough private armies that are paid by the government. We don't need to be harassed everywhere we go. Anytime you try to get on a plane, go through this ridiculous, it's theater, it's safety theater. It doesn't make you any safer. It's just a way to make you feel safer while taking away your rights and your freedoms. And if anyone's ever been familiar with the Patriot Act, it gives the government powers they should never have been given. After 9/11, it was all fear-mongering. Both sides, fear-mongering. They all linked arms and goose-stepped together into taking rights away from citizens because they saw this as an opportunity they weren't going to pass up. And since then, some have seen the light politically. Even someone in my chat tonight said they hated to quote Joe Biden, but he actually said something smart when he said every word that comes out of the mouth of like Bush and his cronies and everything at the time was a noun, a verb, and 9/11. And that's the way it was every time the government was like, we want to squeeze your rights just a little more. 9/11, you want 9/11 to happen again? Well, if you don't give us these powers, 9/11 is going to happen again. And people fell for that. People allowed their fear and their prejudice to surrender their rights to the government. A government that any other time that if they had tried to do something like that, we would have slapped them back with a ferocious roar. But people accepted it. Now, some of us didn't like it, and some of us spoke out against it at the time, but the vast majority of people were more than willing to go along with it. But I think it's time to say enough is enough. We need to unify, not behind, let's all determine how to best properly honor the people involved in 1911. Let's all come together and say, we need to get back to being the kind of country we're supposed to be, the kind of country that made these people want to attack us in the first place because they don't agree with us being able to do the things we want to do and say the things we want to say. We need to start taking back the freedoms we gave away 20 years ago and have been consistently surrendering since then. It's all about the see something, say something. That garbage would have never stood in America. No one would have ever dared put that on a poster anywhere in this country, period, before 9/11. That would have been ripped down and met with looting in the streets and burning police cars and like, this is Orwellian garbage. But after 9/11, they were like, yeah, see something, say something, turn in your neighbor, blah, 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 all that stuff. Over a very isolated attack that could have been prevented by the government if they had paid heed to things like, hey, these people want to attack us and they're taking flying lessons. Stuff that they were told. The intelligence community was saying, hey, this is a problem. But politicians were like, no. Because it implements the Saudis, for one. The reason they didn't want to pay attention to it. And two, they thought it'd be something small that they could use and manipulate to further their own agendas. But then when something big happened, they had to like, oh my God, what do we do now? And do damage control. So they decided the best thing to do is double down on the fear, and this will give us the opportunity to rip people's rights away from them. And it worked. Wiretapping, all this other garbage that happened after it. People getting detained for long periods of time without representation. Guantanamo Bay, for God's sakes. That's not America. We need to say enough is enough. If you want to end the wars, great. I'm okay with that. But how about we give back the rights to the people? We need to get rid of the Patriot Act, and we need to get rid of Homeland Security. We don't need either one. We never needed either one. We were sold one under a false bill of goods. and had it shoved down our throats, and people begged for more after it was shoved down their throats because they were so afraid, because all the rhetoric that was coming out of the politicians' mouths. We need to get rid of it. We don't need it. And like I said, we also don't need another standing army. Homeland Security does not need to be there. Other people handled their jobs before they came along, and those people, here's the reason they created Homeland Security, because the people that were doing those jobs before, they had a very defined a degree to which they could do their job. You know, they had very set rules about how they could do their job, when they could do their job, what rights were. Homeland Security don't have that stuff. Everything is very vague, and we can do this and we can do whatever if we think it's justified. It needs to go away. The Patriot Act needs to go away. Homeland Security needs to go away. Because like I said, every day they stand, our country becomes a little bit less of what it should be. And I, for one, think we should start working back towards being the land of the free, not the land of the frightened and the scared and the angry, which is what we've become. Just look how much more divided we've become as a people since 9/11, because politicians saw that weakness. They saw that fear, that prejudice, that willingness to turn on each other if we thought there was a reason to do it. So let's stop doing it, and let's start demanding that these things go away. And if they don't go away, we need to start getting rid of the politicians that won't do anything about it.